Everyone, thank you for joining today's webinar. Today's webinar is going to cover tax season 2025. So for the year 2025, tax forms are going to be going out soon, 1099-K forms. We're going to be talking through all aspects of that. My name is Tyler Storch. I've been with LeagueApps now for 7 years. I'm a manager of customer success operations here at LeagueApps. So just a little bit about me before we hop in. I joined LeagueApps, like I said, around 7 years ago. Currently, I oversee our payment operations and support. I was born and raised in New Jersey as a big basketball fan, big sports fan in general. My father owned three basketball facilities, so I relate to a lot of our partner base, being around youth sports my whole life and that lifestyle. And I went to the University of Miami where I work for the basketball team, continuing the theme of loving sports. So during the webinar today, if you have questions, there's a Q&A button at the very bottom. You can click that, ask questions. I'll get to them at the end. And then if I don't get to your question, I'll make sure to follow up through email. We'll make sure to follow up through email answering it. So we're going to go through a few different topics today. The first is what is a 1099-K form? The second is where will it be delivered? The third is how to update your gateway information ahead of that. And fourth is what is and what's not included on the form. And then we'll do Q&A. So hopping right in, what is a 1099-K form? It's an IRS information return used to report yearly payment transactions to improve voluntary tax compliance. So in short terms, it's a listing of your gross payments over the course of the year, and that includes card payments and ACH payments broken down by month. You can see on the right what it looks like. Important to note, there's a minimum threshold to report these or to send these out. So if you don't receive one, it means you're under these thresholds. This year it's $20,000 in gross payments or 200 total transactions. This is up from last year's 5,000 and zero total transactions as the minimum. In the past before that, it was at 20,000 and 200. The IRS went back to that this year. So what does that mean? If you collected $20,000 or more gross of online transactions through LeagueApps in 2025, you will receive a 1099-K form from us to assist you in reporting that revenue to the IRS. So where will you receive that form? It's going to be sent to the business address listed on your gateway. It's going to be sent in January. Typically around January 20th, around that date is when we send these out. You can find the address listed on your gateway by going to your reporting section of your dashboard and then the account information section of your gateway. You can see a screenshot on the right-hand side right here showing the business address section. And you should make sure that's updated before these are sent out. You will receive it before February 1st. And if you need an e-copy, you could always get one by emailing support@leagueapps.com after that date. So how do you update that, the address or any information around your tax form? You're going to want to go to reporting, which is an icon at the top when you log in onto your LeagueApps account. You can see on the right-hand side here. Then you're going to want to click under LeagueApps Gateway, your dashboard. You may have multiple if you have multiple sites. In that case, you should check all of your gateways. So once you get to that page, you click account information and then update your account. And you want to make sure that every piece of information there is accurate. Business name, EIN number, business address, everything should be checked ahead of tax season so we don't generate a form that has incorrect information. However, if there is a form generated with incorrect information, we could always make an adjustment. We could always make a correction and refile and zero out the original. So no worries if that does end up happening. We could always fix it by emailing support@leagueapps.com. We'll work with you to fix it, but it's best to get ahead of that. So make these updates right away. Important to note, these can only be made by the org owner on your account for security reasons. All right, so what's included and not included on the tax form? First off, what is included? It's a gross revenue total for the entire calendar year, and it's not accounting for refunds, fees, disputes. So what that means, I'll get to the example in a second, actually, but Essentially, it's all your card payments and ACH payments, gross amount over the course of the year. So what's not included? Offline payments, site credits, discount codes. And to the example, like if you collect $20,000 through LeagueApps in August 2025, 2,000 is refunded later in October. The tax form is going to say 20,000. It's not going to say 18,000. So that's what I mean by gross. It's not accounting for that refund that happened. It's only accounting for the original payments that came through. Okay, so how do I reconcile my 1099K form? This is going to be important once you get your form if you want to cross-check it back to League Apps. Our analytics section has a few different valuable reports you could use to do so. There's also a report where I can show you how to tally refunds and transaction fees because a lot of our partners, because the 1099K form is gross totals, they list a deduction for refunds to account for the refunds, disputes, and fees. That's done separately outside of League Apps. You could use a tax professional to do that. We're not tax professionals, but that tends to be how our partners handle this. So I'll show you how to calculate the refunds and the fees. So we're going to hop into a quick live demo here. Okay, so this is a test account, so bear with me if the information on the reporting is a little bit bare, but reporting analytics is the place to go. Financial, LeagueApps Gateway Payments. This is the report you're going to want to go to. So just to hop back over here for a second, this is what if it has information on it, what the LeagueApps Gateway Payments report will look like. Available on, that's the most important field. That's the field the entire tax form works off of. What that means is when the money became available in your bank account. Alternatively, payment date is just when the payment was initiated. This is important because if a payment's initiated January 31st, but it's not available in your bank account till February 2nd, let's say, the available on date will reflect February, but the payment date will reflect January. The tax forms work off of when money is available. So you want to go off the available on date. So make sure you're using that to filter by date rather than the payment date. Each of these reports has a field for total amount collected. That's the amount you want to look at when you filter by available on. I'll hop back over to the live example. There's no data, but like I said, you want to actually get rid of what's in the payment date and just only use the available on. So you can just pick a date range here, whatever it is, and then the total amount column is the one you're going to look at. So if you do January 1 to January 31st, total amount here is going to be exactly what's on your tax form. Alternatively, same thing, January 1st to 12/31. Total amount here is going to be exactly what's on your tax form. And you can see what's included in it. And then back to fees and refunds, the transactions report's best for that. So you could filter by month or day or year here. And then you could filter by over here. If you go to just the down arrow, you could filter. Let's say I want to just do full and offline refunds. That'll give me a full listing of all my refunds. Whoops, I actually included offline payment. Let's do partial and full refunds. So you total that up at the bottom, you're going to see totals. You could also click this column right here, column details. They'll give you a sum, so you don't have to export it to sum it up. There's an export option in the top right, export CSV option, PDF, etc. And then there's also a fees column. So if I go back and bring back the payments, you could total up the fees and you can get an accurate listing of how much in fees over the course of the years associated with your programming. And this is, like I said, this is the report for refunds and fees to get all that. And that'll be a separate deduction on your taxes. That would not be part of the 1099K, but I did think it was valuable to show you that. So if you are working with your tax professional to include a deduction like that, that's how you would do it. So we're going to hop now into some questions. So I'll give you a few minutes to ask some questions. Again, if questions aren't answered here, we will follow up through email after. First question, If I have an issue with my 1099K form, after it's generated, how do I handle that? So you want to reach out to support@leagueapps.com. The support agent you work with will send you a quick form. It'll ask some information of you to describe the correction you need. And from there, we can make the correction for you, regenerate the form, zero out the original, and you'll be all set to go. So we have the capability to handle that if it does come up. Where do I go to calculate League Apps fees for the year? We just went through that. I think that question came in before. So I believe that would be the transactions report, though, to go back to that. If a payment is made in December, but it settles in January, what month does that income count for? So that income would actually count for the month it settles in. So in that case, it'd be January. That's why the available on column is so important. So I recommend using that when you're reconciling, like we went through before with the LeagueApps Gateway Payments report. Give a few more minutes, see if any questions come in. I got a question about gateways and do they each have a separate tax form? Yes. So every gateway you have has a separate tax form assigned to it. So let's say you have an org level gateway, that's like your default gateway that has a tax form that gets generated. Let's say you have three other sites for different locations that have site level gateways. There's going to be a different tax form exclusive to each of those also. So you want to make sure to group programming that should be on the same tax form together by gateway. All right, it looks like that's the last question. Appreciate everyone for joining. If you have any other questions that ever come up, please reach out to support@leagueapps.com. We're happy to help. Have a great rest of your day and great rest of your week. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by.